Josephine Mill, 276 West Avenue. You know, we're talking about this budget. We said the same things last year and the year before, and we're going to be saying the same things. I fully understand that there are costs that we can't control. And we are expecting some revenue from parking, and we're expecting some revenue from the condos, but let's be honest. We'll get some money in, but those costs that we can't control will just keep going up. I guess I'm looking at the overall picture. I'm not challenging anybody, but what is the future of the village? Because really, what we're saying is that your backs are against the wall, and every year you're pushed further and further, it seems to me. So what happens? You know, Tom, you talk about increasing fees. I think I heard you correctly for the ambulance licenses, etc. Those fees are passed on to people who, like the village, have their backs against the wall. There's only so much you can afford. My point is that people are being driven out. I'm not blaming anybody, but people are being driven out, and house prices in the village, and it's not just the taxes. You know, there are perceptions about the village, rightfully or wrongfully, that I think keep our prices low. You know, it's nice to have services. It makes the village unique. I'd like to have a unique wardrobe, but I can't afford it. At some point, people will say, we can't afford to live in a village as much as we would like to. So I guess I'm thinking, you know, what's going to happen? What does the future hold? I'm not expecting anybody to give me an answer. But
no, I think that really is the true discussion, and I think it comes to what Mr. Kent talks about in terms of revenues. It comes to whether we talk about the parks and the things that we do in the parks. It comes down to, do we carry a surplus or do we gamble from year to year that we're not going to get beat up? Or do we gamble that we're not going to have to bond and we're not going to end up with 4 or 5%? Those are the really tough decisions you come to. Is that how much do you give and how much do you give back, and how do you make it work?
you know, 2.87 is a modest increase. Nobody could deny that. I guess what I'm saying is, how much longer will you be able to keep it at a modest increase? It seems to me that it just spirals out of control. And the people that are leaving are older people, retired people.
Okay.
That's a brain drain.
Yep.
It's not just young people who have brains. Old people have brains, they have judgment, they have experience, and I'm on the real estate sites all the time. I am amazed at how much is for sale in Patchogue, for how little, and how long the houses stay on the market. So, you know,
I agree with you. It really is. You don't know how much we wrestle with this thing. It just, you go round and round, you go through page by page, and it just, and then you get the bill from the state.
I don't have an answer. I don't expect you to have an answer. I'm making a point. I don't know if there'll be a village if things continue.
Well, I'll tell you, if the governor had his way, they wouldn't be.
Well, you know, the governor had some suggestions, and I think they were good suggestions. I understand that they couldn't be implemented exactly the way.
If he would do some things with, you know, binding arbitration, which really doesn't affect us that much, but affects your county taxes, which affects us. Same thing with school districts. If he would have done something with the tail law, Wick's law, which requires us when we go out to bids, that we can't bid for best price, you gotta bid for best price under certain circumstances. There are things that he had opportunities to do that he didn't do, that I don't agree with, that he should take any opportunity. Because those are the cost drivers. They're the cost drivers on a lot of things. You know, we had no increase in salaries last year and a 2% in salaries this year. Plus we started taking out a modest amount for health insurance. So basically, our employees have got nothing for the last 2 years. And those numbers then go up a little bit.
Do you see them going up, or do you see them stabilizing?
What
I'm sorry?
what stabilized the salaries?
You know, pension costs, healthcare costs. Healthcare costs are not going down.
No, they're not, and and believe it or not, I have less of a problem with healthcare because it's a direct service to people that you get. I have a problem with pension because those numbers are controlled by how the state manages their investments. You know, and we keep talking about the governor, I mean, he came out and said, I fixed the pension system because he has tier 7 now, or 6, whatever the number is. But another way he could have fixed it, and it was something I said on the executive board for the New York Conference of Mayors, was in a meeting with members of his staff, and I asked him directly, if you changed tier 4 legislatively in 2000, you took away the 3% contribution, can't you legislatively put it back in place? Now, the New York State Constitution is very clear that you can't take and change a person's benefits. So their answer was, well, it's a benefit, you can't change it. Well, it's a benefit when you get it, not when you're paying for it, was my argument. And they said, well, our attorneys, I said, why don't we pretty much have a judgment decision? Let a judge determine. Absolutely not. Because in my mind, on the level of government that you're dealing with probably 1.5 million public employees that would be affected by it. Of having, and my point was, very simply, you don't need to put 3% back in one shot. Put 1% a year over 3 years. But get a cash flow back into the retirement system as I've driven